When 5 antidepressants have failed to work, how hopeful are you for number 6? If the next one is Saint TMS, there's a good chance, an 80% chance, it will bring full recovery within a week. Stay tuned for a practical guide. Welcome to the Carlat Psychiatry Podcast, keeping psychiatry honest since 2003.
I'm Chris Aiken, the Editor-in-Chief of the Carlat Psychiatry Report.
And I'm Kellie Newsome, a psychiatric NP and a dedicated reader of every issue.
In March of 2017, a group of researchers at Stanford University launched a new clinical trial. The trial did not go as expected, but it has changed the way we approach treatment-resistant depression. Today, we're going to look at this study and what it means for your patients who haven't recovered after 3 to 7 antidepressant failures, the typical range in this study.
The treatment they were testing was a new form of transcranial magnetic stimulation, or TMS. At first, they called it spaced TMS, but as the lead author, Nolan Williams, saw how powerful it was, he changed the name to the more angelic Saint TMS, an acronym for Stanford Accelerated Intelligent Neuromodulation Therapy. Then he had to change it again, after a journal reviewer complained that we shouldn't mix religious language with medical treatment. So Saint became SNT, Stanford Neuromodulation Therapy. Midway through the trial, Williams and his team were forced to make a different kind of pivot.
It was 3 years into the study, and they had treated 30 patients. But before enrolling anymore, the team peeked at the data to see how things were progressing. This is standard research protocol. If you're testing a new treatment, you need to know if it's causing problems before you put more subjects through the test. What they found was not a problem. SNT was well tolerated. Instead, they became alarmed at how powerful it was. It had already achieved a clear statistical difference from placebo at the midway point, with an effect size of 1.5. In the face of that, they wondered if it was ethical to continue putting severely depressed patients through the sham or fake placebo version of the SNT TMS. So they halted the study and submitted those midpoint results to the FDA. Here's what it showed. First, 79% achieved full remission with SNT TMS, an unheard of figure for this level of treatment resistance, with an average of 5 failed antidepressants. By comparison, the remission rate was 10 times lower, only 7%, with the sham treatment. We've never seen remission rates that high in patients with such a profound degree of treatment resistance, with an average of 5 failed antidepressants. With traditional TMS, remission rates in those trials were around 30%. Certainly not 79%, and those traditional trials enrolled people after just 1 to 2 antidepressant failures.
In this age of psychedelic miracles, those remission rates may not faze you, but consider this. The psychedelic trials are not truly double-blind. Over 90% of the subjects can tell that they got a psychedelic. Nor is ketamine double-blind. There the correct guess is 75%, and with SSRIs it's lower, but still a revealing 60%. This is a real conundrum. How do you invent a treatment that is rapid and powerful, but at the same time so discreet that patients cannot tell when they received it? Somehow, SNT TMS accomplished that. The subjects could not tell which treatment they got, even though it got them better over 5 days.
Let's pause for a preview of the CME quiz for this episode. You can earn CME through the link in the show notes.
How does SNT TMS differ from traditional TMS? A. Longer sessions of magnetic therapy, 1 to 2 hours. B. It targets a different brain region, amygdala. C. It is combined with psychotherapy to enhance neuroplasticity. D. It uses a functional MRI to guide the magnet.
The Stanford group published their findings in February of 2022, and the FDA cleared the SNT protocol later that year. The first devices became commercially available in August of 2024, along with new CPT codes to cover the intensive treatment and coverage by Medicare.
SNT is intensive. It's delivered over 5 days. Each treatment day lasts 10 hours. Centers that offer SNT TMS usually hire staff in 2 shifts. The magnetic therapy is delivered over 10 minutes every hour for those 10 hours. By comparison, standard TMS takes 6 weeks, with once daily treatments that last 20 to 45 minutes, delivered 5 days a week. That's a long wait to recover. I've seen profound recoveries with standard TMS that happen so gradually the patient barely noticed. I can tell you, though, their family noticed. The need for faster recovery and more convenient dosing is part of what inspired this new approach. Now, 10 hours a day doesn't sound very convenient, but consider Dr. Williams' explanation.
How many of you would feel comfortable telling your boss that you need to take the next 6 weeks off or more, take an hour and a half or 2 hours out of work and drive somewhere and do this and come back and banker's hours, and if you're a working person, and most people have to have that conversation with their boss, right? And so that's tricky.
The compressed time course is just one way that SNT and TMS differ. There are 3 other things you need to know that separate these 2 forms of neuromodulation. First, SNT uses a functional MRI to aim the magnet at the mood center, the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. Regular TMS also targets this center, but it takes a rougher approach, approximating the location by measuring with a ruler over the head. First, you find the part of the brain that controls the thumb. Aha! You see the patient's thumb twitch after a mild magnetic pulse. Then move the magnet 5 centimeters over and voila! We found the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. Trouble is, this approximation misses the mark up to 30% of the time. The second big difference is that SNT uses intermittent theta burst stimulation, or ITBS, which delivers more intense magnetic pulses over a briefer period of time. Not only are the ITBS pulses more intense, they are also more in sync with the natural electrical rhythms of the hippocampus, which is a pretty cool fact, especially if your patient is worried that all this technology is somehow unnatural. Intermittent theta burst stimulation, ITBS, the short 3 to 10 minute version of TMS, was cleared by the FDA already in 2018, so it's readily available, but it's not as effective as the full SNT protocol. Actually, ITBS works no better than regular TMS. It just saves time, allowing 3 to 10 minute treatments instead of 20 to 45 minutes. But ITBS did allow for the next major difference between SNT and TMS, the third difference you've been waiting for, because ITBS allowed Dr. Williams to stack the treatments into a single day. Without this briefer magnetic therapy, we would not be able to stack 10 TMS treatments into one day, at least not without a therapeutic pause between the treatments. And just as good music needs pauses between the notes, that pause is part of the cure. More on that next week.
Dr. Aiken's new book, Difficult to Treat Depression, is now available in print or as an audiobook, read to you by some familiar voices at audible.com and Amazon. It covers SNT TMS, along with dozens of other evidence-based strategies, from pramipexole to probiotics, with chapters on Auvelity, thyroid, inflammation, lifestyle change, psychotherapy, and deprescribing.